Hello guys, and welcome to the studio. In a bid to make mixing a lot easier for you, we have decided to touch upon all the effects and the VSTs that you have on your Akai MPC device. Ever heard of the female wardrobe syndrome? That's something that occurs in humans once in a while. When you have something, you don't even know you have it. You know that ladies, they can have a lot of clothes in their wardrobe and they'll still be spending hours looking for clothes to wear to an event, right? Yeah. So the same thing can be applicable to you even as a producer. You have a lot of plugins, a lot of effects, a lot of all those beats and all those samples, loops that you don't even know they are there, and yet you're still trying to either buy or basically just tweak another one or use another method to get things done faster, when in actual fact you can make use of what you already have to get your results in good time. So today, the first one we're going to start with will be the air delay. Please pay attention and note that air delay is different from Air Delay Pro. I've got the Air Delay Pro, but it's not free. It's actually a paid version, and I want you to go along as we do this. So I'll be touching up on the free versions first, the one that comes bundled with your device. Then you can now take it up to the next level, maybe probably the one that is purchased. But for now, that which you have that you might not know that you have. As a beginner, I know the pros and all those are already using the air delay and things like that. But for beginners, you need to know how to use these things, what they are for, and then it will be easier for you to also apply them to your project. And that's what we're doing right now. But then let's even talk about the air delay. It's actually there to delay an audio signal, to create echoes and repeat, and it basically offers a wide range of creative possibilities for sound design and musical expressions. You can use it to thicken up your vocals and instruments. It can actually be used to create a very good echo and rhythmic patterns, and it can be used to also build ambient soundscapes, right? And it can be used to simulate classic delay effects like the tape echo or the BBD delay. It's actually a very wonderful piece of effect that you should try and get acquainted with. Now let's talk about all these parameters and how they affect the signal, right? So let's start with the time, right? Your time, that is the delay time, right? It controls the length of the time between the original signal and the echo. Now we're talking about the original signal, which is kind of like the dry, and then the echo. Now that is now the wet signal that has been affected, the one that has already passed through the air delay effect. So now the sync basically also work hand in hand with the time. The sync basically is trying to ensure that that particular delayed signal is in sync with your time division on your project, right? So you can go ahead right from here. You can basically see, you can change the different parameters there, and if you change these parameters, you're actually listening on your audio, you'll be able to actually hear how it's affecting it. The time that the echo, that is the wet signal, is coming in, you'll see that it will be different. One of there is no written rule that it should be in a particular state. Based on the current project you're working on, you really want to select, this is when I want that delay effect to come in, and that's when you use time to set it. Now, like I said earlier, sync is basically working hand in hand with the time. If I turn off the sync, it means I want to use seconds. I want to use delay seconds. So basically this nice 798 milliseconds will be the delay for that particular wet signal to come in and join the dry signal. But like I said earlier, you have the liberty to tweak it as you would want it to be. So let's talk about the feedback. The feedback is actually talking about how much of the delayed signal is fed back into the input, creating more complex echo patterns. Do you understand? So basically you need to be careful when you're using this. A subtle amount of it is very good, but too much of it can actually let your output your output signal to go into a very wide spectrum, and then everything becomes chaotic. But you will try that out as well. You see what I mean. Now let's talk about this mix. The mix is talking about how to blend the dry signal with the wet signal. I'm sure you know by now, basically the dry signal is the signal that you actually just have, like your default signal, the one that you're sending to that effect. Once the effect has been applied onto it, it becomes the wet signal. We need to use this mix to be able to say, oh, I want whatever is coming out to be 100% of that particular wet signal, or I want to hear the original that I sent in, and I also want to hear a portion of what this effect has on the signal that I'm currently working with. Also mix it together and then give it to me. output wise. Now we're talking about the high pass filter, which is basically what it is to help you filter out more low and allow more of the high signals, that's the high frequency, to pass through. Okay, so now let's talk about the width basically and the damp. These two, they basically control more of the depth of that particular signal that is coming out, but you need to understand the fact that it might need you to listen in thoroughly to actually feel the effect of some of these things, especially depending on the type of signal you are sending in. Some you might feel, oh, I'm not really hearing it properly, but if you're using it to a proper speakers, or you're probably having your headphone on, you're actually going to hear these outputs. You know, you're going to hear the difference. Let's take a look at this ratio. Ratio basically is talking about the effect. You know, we see left and right here. Am I panning that effect from the left to the right, or am I panning it more from the right to the left? The echo in itself. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take this back to on and switch this. Maybe I'll leave it at 104. Yeah. Then I can put this at I'll put it at 0 first, then bring it in. Let me start. I also take away the feedback, just so you can hear how everything comes into play, right? So let's go. What you're hearing now is the original sound, because there's no wet signal added here. Now let me bring in the wet signals, you know, subtly. Can you hear it? Now, let me add a feedback to create a multiple effect. Let me keep increasing this. Like I said, be careful how you use this. If it gets to 100, you see what will happen. You don't want that. This is just the mix alone. So subtle feedback is nice, but too much of it is not good. Now the ratio, if you have your headphones on, you might actually hear it at work. Now it's audible more on the left. Now to the right. If it's on 100, I hear it at the same time on both left and right speakers. So sometimes it might just depends on the kind of project you're working on to know where to pan your delay left and right. Like I said, this is your mix. If I take this up to 100%, you see that you'll be hearing only the wet signal, and it will basically be different from what you have right now. Now, for us to get that appropriately, what I'm going to do is I will press record, so it will be giving you like a timer, like a counter, the metronome, right? Then you can actually hear the original signal coming, and then I'll take it out of the original signal and put the actual mix to 100, that is the wet, and you see that, oh, it will basically just fail by, you know, a quarter of a bar. Let's go. That is the dry on the count. That is 100% the wet. You can see that the timing is different by a quarter. This is the two of them. Yeah, so there you have it, your delay, air delay this time around, basically used in mixing when you are trying to delay your audio signal, and it's actually a very handy tool. We're going to be taking you through a series of mixing tutorial, and then we're going to cover how best to use it. Like you already know, some effects are best directly applied on your track, some are best applied maybe like on the pad itself, but some are actually best applied inside your sub mixes, and then you just send a little bit of signals to it and get a little bit of signals back. So there you have it today on air delay, and that'll be all for now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comment section below. We'll see you in the next one.